Hey everyone, today is finally the day we're gonna get started with canning strawberry jam. So here's my second strawberries and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is gather our supplies. So the pan at the front is where we're gonna put the strawberries and make the jam. This pan back here, I started simmering. That is going to be for the jars themselves. This is gonna be for the lids. And finally, this is the water bath canner where all of the jelly will go into to process. Okay, and here are the second strawberries, low sugar Sure-Jell, and some jars. Next thing I need to do is make sure that all the jars are washed with hot soapy water. So I am washing all my jars to start with really thoroughly. So next, all the lids are gonna go into this simmering, almost boiling water. And then I like to put the rings on the bottom first, just to help with the glass, so the glasses can kind of sit on top of the rings. Okay, and here come the glasses. They're gonna go right in here and just take a bath. And I think I talked about this before. I use strawberry second. So strawberries that have a bruise or bump or whatever in them is what I'm using. So I'm just making sure to cap it, and then you see there's like a bad spot, just taking that out. And then just halving it. All I'm doing is halving them for right now. We're gonna actually crush them in a little bit anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so while all the glasses are sterilizing or whatever, I got the strawberries cut up right here, they are. And then I think I told you before, I'm using a Sure-Jell, and I use the low sugar. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I need the recipe out of here. If you haven't noticed, there's all the cooking videos I've made so far, I've never really followed a recipe, but with jelly and jam, you must follow a recipe. And the reason is because if you do not follow the recipe, your stuff may not turn out, especially with jams and jellies. So let me look on here. I think I need 6. I'm not doing freezer jam. There's freezer jam on the one side. I like to do the canning. So we're doing the cooked jam recipe. So cooked jam, I need 6 cups of crushed strawberries and 4 cups of sugar. Okay. So what I'm gonna do next, this is a potato masher. I'm gonna go ahead and crush my berries. And then I'm gonna get a cup and we're gonna measure out and see if I have enough. If I don't, then I'll go and clean up some more strawberries. You may ask, what is the difference between jelly and jam? So jam has little fruit pieces mixed in with it. And that's usually what I make just because I'm too lazy. I wouldn't say I'm lazy. I have a lot going on. So to have to do an extra step. So with jelly, you would have to, I believe you have to strain this so you wouldn't have the fruit pieces. And I just don't feel like doing that extra step. So I don't mind the little fruit pieces in there. I prefer it. I like it. So I just keep it as is, but that's kind of the difference between the both. Okay, so now I need to measure out 6 cups. This is a half cup, so it's gonna be, 12 of these size cup. And this is where I want it to be very accurate, so I'm not like heaping it or under heaping it. I want it to be exactly 6 cups of strawberries. Okay, so I measured out my crushed strawberries. I dumped them into my pan, my pot. And now I need to measure out the 4 cups of sugar. So I'm gonna use the same container as I did that. So once again, this is a half a cup. So I need 8 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna take my packet of pectin and I'm gonna pour it into my pan with the strawberries. And with this, I need to add a 1/4 cup of sugar from the already measured out sugar in my bowl. So I'm just gonna do this here real quick. I don't have a 1/4 cup measuring spoon, so I'm just making sure I got the half cup. Okay, so that goes in there, and we get the fire started here. Get this turned on, very good. And now we're gonna go ahead and start stirring this. Now my directions say that if you wanted to add a little bit of butter, I think it's like, what is it? Let me check. a half a teaspoon of butter to reduce foaming, you can. I usually skip this step. I don't mind it necessarily. If it's foamy a little bit, I just mix it all together. I don't, that stuff doesn't bother me. But if you don't want the foam and you don't want to scrape it off, you can add a little bit of butter. I do not know the science behind why the butter reduces the foam. You'd have to Google it. I don't know. But for now, we're going to stir this, and we stir this. It has to come to a full rolling boil, so it cannot just be a couple bubbles. It has to cook to a full rolling boil. So when I get to that step, I'll start the video back again. Give me a few minutes. As I'm learning, the different strawberry varieties really make different products. So example, last week I made a little bit of strawberry jam, and I used a smaller berry that was more red inside, and the color of the jelly was beautiful. This one, however, is seconds from strawberries that like had the best, sweetest taste, like just the most amazing flavor. But this doesn't look as dark as the other strawberry I used the other week. And then of course you can get the bigger strawberries, that are great for, dipping and, like dipping in chocolate or whatever. So you really have to, I'm really learning a lot. The different varieties really have different, attributes and different characteristics. Okay, so here we go. I needed to get it to a full boil, rolling boil, and it's keep boiling when I stir. So it looks like we're almost at that point here. You see it starts to get a little foam on the surface, which is expected. Okay, and now I'm going to dump in the remaining amount of sugar, which would be 3 3/4 cups of sugar. Okay, here comes the sugar. Oh, such goofy instructions, but they work. Trust me, they work. Okay, so now I need to get all this sugar stirred together and dissolved. And then once all this is dissolved and it returns to that full rolling boil, then I need to let it cook for exactly 1 minute. So this is where like concentration or your full attention is needed on this jam. So looks like I got all the sugar dissolved now. Once you add the sugar, it does really turn a nice deeper red for the most part. Okay, so I'm just going to keep stirring it, and then once that boil comes, I'm going to set a timer, and then 1 minute. Okay, I just set the 60-second timer. You see it thickening up, and it keeps boiling as I stir. This is what you need to do. If you do not do these weird steps, it may not turn out for you. So like I said before, this is basically the only time I follow recipes, like directions, like to the T. So now I turned off the heat, and now I'm gonna just skim any of the foam off, like so, and then just discard it. So now it's time to get these jars pulled out. Make sure you don't get hot water on you, that would stink. It's happened to me before, but I try to focus while I do this. I don't think I mentioned, I'm on well water. So some of my water is really hard. So I add a little bit of white vinegar to this pot and also to that one. Just so it doesn't have that little, it gets like a dusting or a coating of whatever minerals or whatnot over it. So you see, this is me pouring the jelly in, and this whatever this thing is called really helps. I wouldn't call it a funnel, I don't know what. And then I'm putting it right to the edge there. I lift up. I think I have the right amount of headspace. I usually don't worry about getting air bubbles out when it comes to jam, but I will go ahead and do that today. I have a knife here, and I'm just going around the sides just to make sure there's no air bubbles in there. And I could also kind of just like thump it a little bit, knock it against, make sure there's no bubbles in there. And then I have a wet towel here, and I'm gonna go around the rim, and then here's my little magnetic strips. Oops, I got the wrong size. Let's try a baby one over here. I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna hit it down, get right on top. Let me grab one of those larger ones. Here we go. Okay, this is the one I rimmed. Went around with the rim. Put this on. And then, here we go. Okay, and this is all set to go in the water bath canner. Okay, so now I have my holder here, and I'm going to carry it right over to the water bath canner. There's a little shelf in here. I have this propped up for now until I get all my jars in. Okay, so this is going to go ahead and get lowered right down in the water bath. Now, as you see, some of them barely have water on the top. The little ones are fine. I need to add some more water to this canner, so I think it needs to have at least 2 inches above these pint jars that they're boiling into. So I'm going to add the water from this pan that I already used right into here. Now we have to wait till this comes to a boil, and then I can start timing the process. So jam takes a little longer than jelly. Jelly only takes 5 minutes after the water starts boiling. The jam takes 10 minutes because it has those big bits. So I'm going to add the lid, and now we will just wait until it comes to a full rolling boil. And while I wait for my jelly to process, it did start boiling. I have a little bit of jelly left over from my saucepan, so I can actually just put this right in the refrigerator and start enjoying it as soon as it cools down. Or I could eat it hot if I really wanted to. But you see, it is thickening up. It's not there completely. It will get there, the longer it sits. But yeah, it's looking like fresh, delicious, local strawberry jam. It's looking awesome. Okay, so the 10-minute timer is up, and I'm pulling these out, and I already heard this one pop. So that's exciting. Waiting for this one to pop. Let's see if it pops while I get the rest of them out. It's like my favorite sound because of all that work we just did, and to know that it's finally preserved and I can just stick it in my cupboard is an awesome, awesome feeling. It's a relieving feeling too, because I don't want to have to put all this in the refrigerator or try to reprocess it. So we shall see here. Sometimes it could take a couple hours. Usually it pops pretty quickly though. Oh, I heard it. Yay! There we go. And this is my favorite part, the taste test. There is the jelly. So good. It's so good. Oh my gosh. I don't need to describe it. It's strawberry jam, homemade from strawberries just, within 20 miles of my house. You just can't get better than this. I hope you folks have a great week. Take care.